I'm still here. Hi, over here. So you'll still be able to see me while I'm chatting all about the 3 key strategies to fill your calendar with dream weddings. I am so excited to talk about this with you today. This is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. You'll understand why in a minute, but thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be talking about how to consistently book clients that align with your aesthetic and your personality with intentional effort. So when I think of an ideal client, it's not just one thing, it's both the aesthetic and the personality. The fact that they're making that investment with us as their photographers without getting ghosted or the constant questioning of what am I doing wrong? So to be in that place of being able to book those dream weddings and doing it with ease, where, recently we had someone that booked us. It was about a $10,000 offering before we had even ever gotten on the phone. That is incredible. And we've worked very hard to provide a level of service and a consistent quality of imagery to be able to make those things happen. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in this workshop. So this is a free class. As you all know, I'm so happy that you're here. At the end, I am going to be sharing a bit about my course, Full-Time Wedding Photography. There's a special offer there that I'm going to be talking about. And then, of course, we're going to be doing a bonus Q&A. So this is actually my reminder here. I always forget to turn off my phone. So I am all in for you guys right now during this time. Hey, David, thank you so much for joining. As you guys are coming in, please just note that if anyone does have any questions, that this is an area of safety. So everyone can ask any questions that they want. I'm happy to help. And then, of course, if you do have any technical difficulties, just leave the room and rejoin. The only technical difficulty that I have observed over the past 4 live calls is that if you're on mobile, you might want to put like AirPods in or some way to listen in on mobile through a speaker. For some reason, the phone speaker isn't an option, but otherwise everything's been good so far. So why are you here? Are you excited because you're, ready to become more profitable in your business, that you want to be able to work less and make more money for those weddings so that you can get your time and your life back? Are you intrigued by the idea of up-leveling your business and your clientele, moving into that next tier of weddings, maybe where there's greater expectations, more details, more knowledge required? Or are you looking forward to having a consistent calendar full of clients that align with who you are? No matter why you're here, no matter what your motivations are, I am so happy that you're joining me today. I am, like I said, almost 15 years in. I've photographed over 500 weddings. And to this day, I am still continuing to learn, to educate myself, to do everything that I can to be a better wedding photographer and a better business owner. And the fact that you're here and investing this time in yourself leads me to believe that you are doing the same thing. So congratulations for that. I'm happy that you're here. I'm Catherine. I am a New Orleans-based photographer. I started my business in the fall of 2008, shooting my very first wedding, and then I went full-time after graduating from architecture in 2010. I'll talk more about that in a moment. I'm very family-oriented. If I'm not photographing weddings, you'll oftentimes find me at home. I love to just walk with our daughter, be, with our family. This is us here in this photo. My daughter's name's Opal. She's almost 2 now. And that's my husband, Brad. So Brad and I met in architecture. He does actually second shoot with me as of the past 3 to 4 years. And Brad is a big integral part of the team. So if you know anything about me, then you've probably heard about him as well. I am an Enneagram 6, so a little bit about my personality type. I'm the security-oriented type, according to the Enneagram Institute. If you haven't taken this test, you absolutely should. I feel like it's taught me so much about me as a business person and also about my personality as well. But it kind of just helps you understand what your tendencies are. So knowing that I'm security oriented, I need to be more adventurous. So the Enneagram can kind of help you figure out who you are. And it also can help you interact better with other people, knowing, where you excel and where you could do better. And I've been described by friends, family, and people that I've worked with, colleagues, as very empathetic and honest. So, please note that if you have any questions or any way that I can help you with your business, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to do that. Okay, so my journey started in architecture school. You may already know this about me, or maybe you're just coming in new and just meeting me for the first time, but I wanted to share this because, wedding photography is not usually something that people go to college for unless they're studying photography. Oftentimes people are coming from other backgrounds, other creative industries. I came from architecture, but I quickly discovered that I didn't just love photography. I specifically loved wedding photography. But as we all know, wanting to be a wedding photographer and actually running a full-time successful business are two different things. And initially, that was a slow process. It started out, like any new endeavor, it was slow. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And that's why now that I am in this position of running a multi-six-figure business where we have a reputation that has been, hard earned, but we're so grateful for. And now I can share what I've learned with other people to help them in their journey. So I'm so happy to finally be in this place. When you start your business, in the beginning, you want work, you want weddings, you want to fill your calendar. And then at some point, depending on where you are in your business, I know some of you guys are in that like 3 to 6 year mark. I got to a point where I was photographing like 56 weddings a year. And at that point I realized, okay, I am like on the verge of burnout. And so that was when I started really honing in on who is my ideal client and how can I, really speak to that person so I can photograph those dream weddings and scale down a little bit. So now we're photographing about 25 to 30 weddings a year. Our starting price point is $8,000 for a local event with an average of about $10,000 to $15,000. And then of course, when we do destination events, it is a different starting base price. Our highest booking to date is $25,000 for a local event. And I've never worked under another photographer. So the lessons that I'm sharing with you are things that I've learned tried and true, but also learn from these mistakes so that they don't take you as long to get to where you want to go. And the fact that you're showing up here today lets me know that you're already wanting to do that and on the path of doing so. We have been recognized, featured. Our weddings have been featured in a variety of publications thus far. Brides, Over the Moon, Southern Brides, The Knot, Style Me Pretty. And I've also had the privilege of speaking and educating other photographers. We have been asked, and I've spoken at the Hybrid Co., Show It United's conference, PPLA. I've been sponsored by Black River. And, I've taken all of this knowledge that I've learned over the years, and I'm now able to bring it right to your ear. So thank you for giving me the space and the permission to do that. I know what it's like to start from the very beginning. When I say the very beginning, I literally know what it's like to have no clients and no cameras and want to start a wedding photography business. I truly started the business from a place of desire and passion. And I wasn't even sure if I could make this work. And it's really, really cool to know. And I'm here to tell you that no matter where you are in the journey, this industry is one where there is place for success. You can make a living doing this. I did not rely on anyone else for income over the start, from the start of my career until just a few recent years ago when my husband finally was in a place where he was starting his own business too. But up until then, we were really solely relying on the photography business. And I'm here to tell you it can be done. You can pursue this full time and make this a career. So why wedding photography, right? Like, why would we sign ourselves up to give up our nights and give up our weekends in order to do this as a career? Wedding photography it's special. It is irreplicable, which is going to bring us a little bit of stress, but also that is really neat that we are there documenting things that can literally never happen again. Moments that are so quickly fleeting, unexpected moments that these clients will truly cherish. We're documenting this very special day. And not just in that special day will these images, and in the months following will these be important, but these images are important for a lifetime. We've unfortunately had interactions with people who were in attendance at the wedding and are no longer here on earth with us. And having that sort of documentation, there's really no words to even describe it or no value we can even place on that. It is truly special what we do. And on top of that, as wedding photographers, from a personal experience, wedding photography has changed my life as a human. I don't know if you feel like this, but we're in the room with people in these moments that no one else is around for, moments that we're just sharing with the couple or with, the bride and her mother. And we are in the room. We're privileged and honored to be in the room in those intimate moments. So for me, that is why wedding photography. And for you, I imagine it is the same. And in regards to not just weddings, but specifically dream weddings, why did I want to talk about that today? Because I know firsthand the value of being able to book your dream weddings. When that happens, when you're getting to a place of booking those events, that in fact will lead to more ideal clients and portfolio weddings in the future. When you start sharing those dream weddings, you will see something really cool happen, that more weddings like that will come in the door. We talk about this a little bit later in the workshop, but like attracts like. And so when you're booking those dream weddings, more portfolio weddings will come. Dream weddings allow you to build a strong reputation and trust with future clients because they see that you're qualified and that you are the photographer for them. Dream weddings, booking them will increase your confidence, your joy, and your ability to connect. And it will result in higher profits and more aligned work. So when I was in that place of experiencing, burnout or like on the edge of burnout, and I really decided, okay, I need to focus on what is the wedding that I want to photograph? Who do I want to work for? What do I want to do? It allowed me to achieve what I'll describe to you in a bit as a premium or superior brand. I started working toward niching down and becoming that photographer for that market. So I want you guys to experience that, these dream weddings that will help you achieve these things. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about today is defining your ideal client. Who are you dreaming of working with? Who is your dream client? I used to want to work with every client that came my way. I think just not knowing better, I just assumed, okay, I'm a photographer. This person's getting married. Why aren't they hiring me? And I was sad if someone didn't hire me. And I understand that. But the truth of the matter is, when you can realize that you're not going to be the photographer for everyone, number one, you don't have time to photograph for everyone. But also, more importantly, you are not the correct creative and the correct personality for every single person. You will be aligned creatively and personally with a niche of people. And so the goal here is to figure out who that niche is and who you're most designed to service. So when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. I love this quote by Meredith Hill. And it's such a good reminder that we don't need to be casting this huge wide net and trying to pull everyone in the door. Even with the inquiries that we're receiving right now today, even with the inquiries that you're receiving right now today, not every single one of those inquiries are intended to book. You need to find the ones that are going to be the right fit for you, not just for your business, but also for them. I've had situations in the past where I get on the phone with someone who's interested in working together. And when I'm listening to them and I'm hearing what they're describing stylistically, I'm getting a feel for their personality and what they're saying. There have actually been instances where I realize, you know what? I am not as good suited. I'm not as well suited for this person as this other photographer. Our goal is to help them also figure out what's going to be the best fit for them. If they're speaking with me about dramatic portraits at night with artificial lighting, I'm like, whoa, I don't know. Did you see my portfolio? That's not really what I specialize in. And there are photographers that do specialize in that. And so you want to be aligned with your correct ideal client. So let's talk about some facts on ideal clientele. Number one, there is a photographer for every client, and there is a client for every photographer. And when you are feeling like someone doesn't book, and maybe you're feeling a little bit of sadness, just remind yourself that there is a photographer for every single person out there. And when you begin to hone in on who your ideal client is, you will be happier for that, and so will they, because you're just not going to be the best fit for everyone, right? Like attracts like. We may have heard this before, but what does that mean? When I say like attracts like, I mean that we're putting out work and we're working with clients and we're sharing weddings that inadvertently are going to attract more clients like that. So you may notice that if you're sharing ballroom weddings, nighttime weddings, that you all of a sudden are getting more nighttime ballroom weddings. That's not a coincidence. People are looking onto your portfolio and on your social to visualize themselves in your work. And when that happens, they're either going to be attracted or they're going to be repelled by what they see. And so we want to attract the ideal client and know that whatever you are sharing, it's going to do one or the other. We'll get more into that in a moment. But another way that like attracts like is through our own selves, how we position ourselves online, how we establish that personal brand, and even some things that we can't help, our age, our gender. People do perceive us a certain way based on who we are and what we look like and all of those things. So like oftentimes does attract like. But I want you to know that you can possess the power to transform your market based on the actions that we'll talk about in the next section of attracting your ideal market. You and only you have the ability to transform your market and change things up. And I encourage you that once you do discover who your ideal client is, that you should start to implement those strategies as soon as possible. Because if I know anything about weddings, what we do today, right now, we will not even see the effects of for sometimes 10 to 18 months, because people who are booking now, they're not getting married today. They're getting married, a year from now. And so you can transform your market. And that's why you should start making those changes right now, today. You do not have to share every photo or event you photograph. This was something that I didn't really realize when I first started my business, I guess because I thought, I need to look busy. I need to share everything I'm shooting so that people know that I'm a professional. People know that you're a professional based on the work that you have. But if you get to a point where you have, a good bit of weddings in your portfolio, a little bit of work to show people kind of your style and what you do, from that point forward, you really don't need to share everything. You instead want to really focus on figuring out what you do identify most with, and we'll talk about how to do that right now. So the first thing that you want to look for when you're defining your ideal client is going to be what colors you're drawn to. Are you drawn to really vibrant colors, really, punchy weddings that have really, loud kind of trendy details? Or maybe you're drawn more to an elegant, like neutral, monotone palette. Whatever your ideal client aesthetic is, I want you to look at your past weddings and start to look and see which ones you connect the most with, because you're going to see a variety there, especially if you haven't yet gone through this exercise. The next thing that you want to look at is the overall style. What style of wedding do you like? Do you want a rustic wedding where, there's a barn and cowboy boots? Do you want a ballroom wedding in the evening time in formal gowns and attire? Do you want an outdoor daytime wedding in a tent where you're on the coast? Like, what is the style of the wedding that you aspire to photograph? Remember, this is a dream wedding that we're creating in our mind. And so as we're creating this visual, you need to think about these things: color, style. The next one's going to be location. I touched a little bit on that in the last example, but when you're thinking of these locations, where are they located? Are they in your own city, in the middle of the city? We love to photograph weddings in the center of a city, in an urban area. But maybe you're someone who loves like a big open field where there's no around, you can begin to create that mental visual of your ideal client aesthetic, not only based on your own work and observing where you are, but also, even if you haven't photographed weddings like this, start to create a vision board. I don't know if you guys have ever created a vision board, but when you put things in an organized way, either digitally or on paper, where you can reflect on that, visualize that, and work toward that, you will be so much more close to that goal because you've gone through this exercise. And the next one that you want to think about is the actual destination. If you're someone who wants to photograph destination weddings in general and you have a specific kind of region in mind, think about what that looks like for you. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in your local market, or do you want to be doing more destination events? We have a friend right now who's pretty much moved out of his local market, and he's doing mainly destination events, mainly tinted events. And you can control, like I said, your ideal client market. So even if right now you are in a place where you're photographing more destination events and you want to bring it more local, you can do that. I've worked with a couple who was trying to switch up their website because they were booking a lot of destination events and they wanted more local. And so you can do that, or you can change and do more destination events. But when it comes to that ideal client aesthetic, your preferences can be very specific. And I want you to start really looking at your images with a curated eye and observing your invitation suites, looking as detailed as what are the fonts, what are the flowers that you're using provided by the florist as part of the decor, what are the colors, what is the paper type, what are these invitations saying about the wedding? Is your ideal client in a full lace fitted dress? Does it have long sleeves and a high neck? It's very traditional. This dress right here, I would say, is a very timeless classic. We photographed Windsor's wedding probably, 6 or 7 years ago, and someone could still be wearing this dress today. That is my ideal client aesthetic when it comes to the dress. But what dresses inspire you? What dresses, when you show up, make you excited? Same thing with the shoes. Do you love a casual Converse sneaker on your bride, or do you want her in a stiletto Manolo Blahnik? What is your ideal client aesthetic that you're going to begin to see translated into visual details that you're photographing? We don't have control as the photographers of what our clients wear. Okay, so if you're feeling like, well, Kat, I'm photographing these shoes, but I don't, necessarily identify with this style. We'll talk about how to attract the client, the actual paying client in the future, in the future of this workshop, not so far off in the future, just like in a few minutes. But when it comes to these details, these details that you're seeing on the day, the dress, the shoes, the invitations, even the decor, which is the next one I was going to touch on, you don't have control over that, but you can observe it. You can look at that. You can see if it's in alignment with your preferred style, if you love it, if you want to photograph more of it, or if you're like, okay, I'm going to document this well for the client, but I think like things that are a little bit more XYZ. And the decor can be, what chairs they're using, linens, how the flowers are displayed, what vases they're using, what's the shape of the bouquets. All of these things inform style. And if you're hearing me say these things and being like, I never thought about any of this before, really start to curate your images and train your eye to look at every single aspect of the photo. Even when I was styling this flat lay, if there was a flower type that I didn't really love as much, or a color, you have the ability to kind of style things the way that you want when you're photographing. There's a saying that Jose Villa uses. It says, one for thee and one for me. Maybe you're photographing a client and you love her dress, you love her hair, but you aren't maybe as much in alignment with the flowers or the flower color or the flower shape. You can photograph, obviously, her with her flowers, and then you can do a few without. There's nothing wrong with that. She may prefer the image without the bouquet when she receives the gallery, but it gives you some portfolio content to work with that is in more alignment with your ideal client aesthetic. The other portion of your ideal client aesthetic is going to be the personality. So although it's one thing to have, a beautiful wedding with amazing details and, over the top, or whatever your ideal client is, whatever you're envisioning. Maybe it's not over the top, maybe it's understated, right? But the other portion of that is going to be, what is their personality? Because I don't know about you, but an ideal client for me is someone who's independent, decisive, open-minded, trusting, confident, and kind. And these are the qualities that I'm looking for. Your qualities may be different. You might be looking for someone who's super fun and loves to party and no, it is funny. Whatever your ideal client personality is, that's going to inform who you're speaking to. So the first action steps that I have for you is that I want you to observe, and you may already have been doing this as I was talking, but observe some of your favorite past clients and events. Make a list. If you have a notepad, whether it's now or when we finish the workshop, make a list of your ideal client aesthetics and make a list of your ideal client personality type. Some of these things you may already have, as I was going through even the personality type, I was like, oh yeah, I want someone who's trusting. I mean, who doesn't, right? So make a list of what's important to you as a photographer. Dreams desire superior friends. Now we're going to start moving into a little bit of how to attract these clients. We've talked about who they are for you and how to find them, figure out who they are. But now we're going to begin talking about attracting them. And I can tell you that dream weddings desire superior brands. What is a superior brand? A brand that sells itself due to prestige associated with being a customer of the brand. So you get to the point where you're so honed in on who you are as a photographer and who you are in regards to how you provide for the client that they want to book you just to be, a so-and-so client. And you are going to begin to set the industry standard for high quality imagery with reliable, consistent customer experience. So just like you have that ideal client aesthetic and personality, they're looking for a brand that has stellar images and consistent customer experience. So that goes both ways. We're trying to find the good fit for everyone involved. And you're always looking to improve and reach higher standards, which is why brands like this are able to charge a premium because they're so much in alignment with their clients. So we're going to talk about attracting your ideal client. When it comes to attracting your ideal client, you want to share work that resonates with their style. If you are going back to our ideal client style, if you are photographing a wedding and you are over the moon about their dress, you need to share that. In that image, you want to make sure that everything is in alignment, but share those images, share the dresses, the details, the invitations that speak to the type of client that you want to bring in the door. And if you have any sort of hesitation about, I don't know, I love this dress, but I'm not sure about the shoes or, whatever it is, share the work. Again, just come back to that. You want to share the work that's going to resonate, that speaks to your soul, speaks to your heart as a creative, and will bring in more clients like that. You want to share aspects of your personality online. So when clients are looking for their photographer, I really believe it's twofold. They're looking for someone who's going to capture their day in the most beautiful way, the way that they envision, the one that aligns with them being able to visualize themselves in your images. And then also they want someone whose personality is a good fit with theirs. So you're going to share aspects of your personality as much as you can online. So yes, that means showing up every now and then on your social, posting photos of you, talking a little bit about things that you have going on or things that can share insight into who you are as a person so that they'll know if they're a good fit. And then of course, when you do eventually get on the phone with them or can connect with them in person or virtually, then they can see even more your personality. You want to show your knowledge and value online. This one can be a little tricky because you're thinking okay, how do I show that I'm knowledgeable? Well, showing beautiful images is, of course, going to show your knowledge and your value. You're going to show them firsthand that you're able to do the type of event that they're having and do the type of work that you can. In addition, it's okay to also share, oh, it was a rainy day and in the caption of a photo. And then we moved inside, we set up lights, and look how beautiful these photos turned out. And that sort of story, those sort of examples are going to instill trust in the client with you in an online capacity. You want to represent your brand in person. So we are personal brands. Unless you are a business owner and you do not ever work for the company, but even still, like, you represent the business. But especially as photographers, when we're working, people are looking at us and seeing how we represent ourselves in that in-person capacity. Are we being consistent with what they're seeing online? That is how you're going to represent your brand in person. And you're also going to get involved with others who can connect you, others who can introduce you or refer you to others. So we're going to dig a little bit deeper. When it comes to representing yourself, especially when we're photographing weddings, but even when we're off the clock, I say off the clock because as a personal brand, we're always representing ourselves. And it's not atypical that Brad and I are on a walk and we run into a client. You just never know. And so I'm not saying you always have to be like in wedding day attire or anything like that, but just being consistent, especially with who you are as a person, and having that same, consistency across the board. But especially on the wedding day, clients, they are always aware, even when we think that they aren't. They're looking for us. They're expecting that with this investment, we are documenting those moments. And what we don't want is clients having to chase us down or wondering where we are. They should always kind of have a pulse on us throughout the day because we're there for them. And you know who else is there for those weddings? Other clients, other current clients. I can't tell you how many times I've been photographing a wedding and someone will come up to me at the reception. Oh, Catherine, I know we've only spoken on the phone or we haven't yet met, but I'm so-and-so and you're photographing our wedding next fall. And so your other clients may be attending and they are going to be looking to see how you perform as a wedding photographer, how you're interacting with guests and speaking with people at the wedding. Potential clients may also be looking. Bridesmaids, groomsmen, we get a ton of referrals from wedding parties, from vendor partners who are there in attendance working the event. They see us working, even like siblings of the couple getting married. We have 2 weddings this year from sisters we photographed last year. That is so cool, just knowing that they got to see us work. They know what to expect. There's just no questions there. So that is what I mean when I say representing yourself, is that there are going to be other people there looking and seeing and evaluating. When it comes to sharing your work, we want to share work that resonates with your ideal client. So this couple here, this is Juliana and Brandon. They're actually wedding photographers. They own Peony Weddings. They're wonderful people, definitely ideal clients of ours. And we show work that represent our ideal client aesthetic in terms of color, decor, and style, so that we can bring in clients like Juliana and Brandon. When we got to their wedding and we saw their style, and of course we knew their personalities were a fit, we saw their style, we were like, oh, wow, this is so much in alignment with our ideal clientele. In addition to the fact that they're trusting and fun and open-minded and all the things. And so we want to share work that when your ideal client comes in the door, that they know, okay, this is the photographer for us. We did the same thing when we were getting married. We looked at our own vendor partners, who we wanted to work with, photographers, videographer, everything. And we were looking for the things that I'm describing. So I have experienced this not only from a professional side, but also as a client. And if you've been married, then you've done the same, and you go through that exercise, like how did I decide, or what did I look at? And I think that can help inform you of what you should be sharing and how you should be aligning yourself as well. When it comes to sharing your personality, I talked a little bit about sharing, the work side of things and the behind the scenes. But in addition, don't be afraid to share your hobbies. What do you like to do for fun? Brad and I both went to architecture school. We're renovating our house. We're putting in a pool right now. And if you've seen my stories in the past week, you'll see that I'm sharing like snippets of that. People love to see our renovation work. And that's something we love to do. It's like a hobby of ours, a very expensive hobby, but a hobby nonetheless. And whatever your interests are, your values are, if you are very religious and you want to photograph other couples that align with your religion, share that. Share what you like to do for fun. If you like to work out, All of these things give your current and potential future clients a way to connect with you on more than just a personal level. People hire personalities, they hire people. People hire people, not businesses, especially when it comes to photography. I think there's such a personal element to what we do that they want to be able to connect with you. You want to share your knowledge. We talked a little bit about that so that they know you can be an asset on their wedding day. And then you want to get connected. So get yourself out there. We're going to talk a little bit more deeply about this in the marketing section of the workshop, but getting connected is huge. I am a big proponent of authentic and genuine marketing, putting yourself out there, and your network truly is your net worth. Who you know and the connections that you have. If you have two photographers, same portfolio, same caliber of work, but one photographer has a relationship with someone that the client knows or they came from a referral, that client will have so much better of a chance at getting that booking because of their connections. So you really want to get connected with your friends, your colleagues, and others in the industry. And know that your ideal client is allowed to change. Your ideal client today in 2022 may not be the same ideal client next year, 6 months from now. Your ideal client is allowed to change, and I would beg to say it will change. My ideal client has changed based on even my own personal circumstances. Like as my life has changed, my ideal client has changed. Some seasons you may be more into traveling and doing destination weddings. Some seasons you may want to stay more close to home, or you want to photograph, just different types of weddings. So your ideal client is allowed to change. You have my permission, and know that it will change over time. But ultimately, you want to trust your gut. When you're determining who your ideal client is, your client of preference is going to be different than anyone else's because you are different than anyone else. And so, I felt when I think I might have been pregnant or maybe with a newborn, and I was feeling this pull to be a little bit closer to home for a while. I remember feeling like I was at a workshop at a conference, and I was sitting at this big table, and everyone was talking about destination weddings. And I just had this almost like imposter syndrome, this insecurity for a moment. Like, is it bad that I want to kind of, be profitable and I want to do beautiful work and work with amazing clients, but I kind of want to do it close to home for a little while. I'm wondering if that's okay. Yes, you have to trust your gut wherever you are. If you want a jet set and you are a parent and that's your calling, and you're the opposite, that's okay. Like wherever you are, you have to trust who you are, what's happening inside of your heart and inside of your gut, and go for that. Okay. So your action steps from that section would be to, write down those qualities and begin to actually curate. Go through your social posts, go through your website, curate the work so that it is in alignment with the ideal client that you established in the first section. You want to make sure that everything you're putting out is going to attract that person. You want to implement strategies like, the things that we just talked about in the last lesson, where you're, representing yourself as a brand, you're getting connected, you're putting yourself out there in the community to connect with people that will attract moving forward. And I want to talk about this aspect because in the workshop, I've discussed who your ideal client is, okay? And how to sort of, start to attract them, especially through your social media and your online portfolio. Really, focusing on that visual element, what you're putting out in regards to personality, etc. But if things are still a little slow, you might need to ramp up your marketing. And when I say marketing, I've experienced that there are different elements of marketing, some of which I feel like are not as impactful, or maybe they need to be just timed properly, and some that don't really cost anything at all and have a lot of impact. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. So the 3 mistakes that I've had in growth, it's not to say that advertising, trade shows, and custom websites are a mistake. I actually have a custom website right now. I love it. It was done by Davey and Krista, who are amazing. But I started the process of doing a custom website pre the one I have currently way too early. I spent a lot of money doing custom websites. I kind of jumped in too quickly. Same thing for advertising. When you have more time than money, you put the work in and you put yourself out there. You do as much shooting as you can. You do as much, networking as you can. You use yourself and your own, skill set and tools to market. And you can save that advertising money in the custom websites to when you don't have any time and when you're full up and you need to really start to, hone in. And that may be where you are. I would imagine if you're watching this that you probably, you may have a full calendar already and you're just looking to really, dig in deep to who your ideal client is so that you can go from, like I did, 56 weddings to 25. That may be where you are. If you're in the early stages, a trade show, for example, could be a good thing. It would help you really cast a wide net, put your name out there. But if you are trying to hone in on what I'm talking about today, which is the ideal client, you might want to hold off on doing a trade show because unless that is your ideal client. But for us, it was not. And so our strategies to growth really have seen impact through portfolio building, strategic marketing, and authentic relationships. So I'm going to talk about those three things. When it comes to portfolio building, I need you to create work that aligns with your vision. When I started really honing in on who my ideal client was, I was like, okay, how much work do I have that really looks like this? And if I don't have a ton of work, then I need to create work. And although publications aren't featuring styled shoots as often, I can tell you that even just a few months ago, I just did a styled event with a florist, a wedding planner, a rental company, and a venue. We went out to this venue. We had a beautiful floral display with some rentals. There was no models there. And we just created details that aligned with our style that we can have content for. So I'm still today creating work that aligns with my vision of an ideal client. When it comes to portfolio building, you want to document the desired locations and architecture. So for example, we have a desire to shoot in New York. And so on our last few trips to New York, we've been creating content out there, even just photographing architecture, details. Maybe you want to shoot beach weddings. Go photograph the sand, the rocks, the grass, the sunset. Have content that you can sprinkle in on your website and sprinkle in on your social. So you want to document those desired locations and architecture and collaborate with others. Styled shoots, just like I had mentioned to you a moment ago, is a great way to collaborate with others. Even just on that one shoot, there were 4 other vendors that got to see me work in person, have images delivered in a gallery, and understand what it's like to see something in person and then get professional imagery delivered. You can also collaborate with people through headshots. You can photograph their families, any way to help you get connected. But specifically in regards to portfolio building, you're focusing on work that aligns with your vision and creating that work. You're also collaborating as a result. It's a bonus. And then you want to, if you're creating portfolio pieces, set up couples portraits. We're in the business of love. So when we traveled to New York, again, going back to our ideal client, we set up couples portraits. And this isn't as hard to do as a styled shoot because they probably have some clothes. You can help them go through that in advance and figure out what to wear. You want it to align with who your ideal client is. And then you can do some amazing couples portraits for them. We've actually done paid shoots with clients that live in areas travel to them. So you can do couples portraits to help you portfolio build. When it comes to portfolio building and curation, you want to familiarize yourself with what is trending. I don't know if you guys remember back in the Gap when like the crooked photos were all the rage, or putting a little bit of color in a black and white image. Those trends have passed if you didn't know yet, but familiarize yourself with what is trending, because the truth of the matter is your clients may not know. And there may be these situations where when you're trying to portfolio build and they're asking you for things that are no longer up to date. And if you don't know that, then you're going to be documenting and building portfolio in a way that's outdated. So stay up to date on your trends, know what's happening. Yes, we want timeless images, but we also want to know what clients are looking for right now today, which means that you have to educate yourself on good design. This isn't just good design in photography either. Yes, we want to be familiar with the trends in photography, but also educating ourselves on good design in general. What is good architectural design? What is good interior design? What is good jewelry design? All of these things will help you become a better visual artist. And from the experience side, I know this doesn't have anything to do with portfolio building, but go and put yourself in the luxury space. have a luxury dinner on a special occasion, go into a luxury store and get an understanding of what it means to be in that space. What type of service are they providing? Notice how they call you by name. They are, very attentive to your needs. This is the type of level that you are looking to achieve with your clients. So when it comes to strategic marketing, it's not only advertising, trade shows, sales, promotions, discounts, all of those things. Marketing is also the things that I'm talking with you about today: personal branding, behind the scenes images, physical appearances, meeting people during networking events, and building those authentic relationships. Wedding photography is so niche. I almost wish there was like a degree for wedding photography because it's so unique what we do. And the marketing of it is completely different because it's a very, very, very personal event that we're working with our clients on. It's very intimate. It's very trusted. We're in a safe space with them. And so marketing specifically for our business is also these things. Clients want to know who they're investing in. Even the key decision maker. So regardless of whether the key decision maker is your ideal client, or the decision maker who has the final say is, the father of the bride or the mother of the groom, whoever that decision maker is, you want every single person coming to your website and coming to your social platforms to know that they can trust you, that they can connect with you, that you are able to display to them very quickly what it's like to work with you and the caliber of your work. So the last thing that I want to touch on is going to be this idea of building authentic relationships. When it comes to authentic relationships, I'm going to talk about 3 different types of relationships that I believe are going to have the most impact in your business. Your relationships with other photographers, your relationships with wedding planners, and your relationships with your actual client. So we're going to start with what is the most important, which is your client relationship, because if you don't do a good job for your client, then everyone's going to know and you're not going to get recommended and they're not going to be happy. So we have to please our clients first. And we're going to do that through more than just the images. When it comes to building client relationships, we need to not only have good photos, but also have strong correspondence. And if you're not someone who has strong correspondence, you find yourself, forgetting about emails and not getting back to people quickly enough, you want to make sure that you hire someone for your business that can help you do that. I have a very dear friend who does not do her client correspondence, 3 actually. Sorry, I'm just thinking more in my brain about people who do this. And they don't correspond with their clients directly. They have an office manager. Now, they do, I'm sure, correspond on occasion, maybe, throughout the process, but the bulk of the correspondence happens through their, office manager, which is totally fine. But you want to make sure that your clients are taken care of. Under promise and over deliver. So if you're someone who says you're going to have the gallery to them and you think you can fudge it 6 weeks in a few days, don't do that. Tell them 7 weeks and have it to them in 6. If you tell them you're going to return their phone call on Monday, do that. We all know we're very busy on weekends. We get emails that come in our inbox. When I get an email that comes through on a Friday and I know I have a wedding that afternoon, I'll just shoot them a quick, hey, I'm photographing a wedding, or even better, have your away message. And just let them know that you'll get back to them at the start of the week and do that. So you want to always under promise and over deliver to your clients. Keep up with social. I know it's a lot. I know that these are things that tend to get swept under the rug because we're busy editing, shooting, doing all the things, but you want to stay top of mind. So keeping up on social, even once a week, is better than nothing. But keeping up on social so you do stay top of mind with your clients. And you want to be kind, enthusiastic, and empathetic. We actually had, even this very past weekend, our bride was not feeling well. She ended up with, some not great symptoms the day of her wedding, ended up in the hospital and literally put on her wedding dress in the hospital. I know that was not what she wanted for her day and she didn't feel good. So in those moments, yes, I was there, I was documenting, but also, we kind of need to have that level of understanding as a human on a human level, because like I said from the very beginning, we are dealing with these very intimate emotions. She was very sad, and rightfully so. I know I can empathize with that. And so we want to be empathetic, also enthusiastic. This is their one day. This is their wedding day. And no matter how many weddings that we've shot, every time it's our first time because it's their wedding, their one day. And so we want to keep that in mind. Moving into the wedding planner relationship. When it comes to the wedding planners, it's a little bit trickier because we're not working as closely with them. We might not have the relationship with them, but I do think that it's important for us to seek out common interests and do try to create a relationship with the wedding planners, even before we have the opportunity to work with them. Maybe we're meeting passing at an event. We want to try to, start to build that relationship and that friendship with them so that when we are given the opportunity, we're prepared, but not prepared necessarily in only like the relationship aspect, but being prepared to understand what we need to do as wedding photographers. I recently founded a community called the Wedding Photography Society, and we had wedding planner Courtney Wolf come in from Envision Events, and she talked about how as wedding photographers, if we want to get recommended, we need to do a few things, including following the timeline, being helpful, and essentially not creating more work for the wedding planners. If there's a question that doesn't need asking, don't ask it. They have a ton on their brains, just like we do. And so we want to do our best when working with wedding planners to be independent, be helpful, be professional, and not burden them with questions that we can answer on our own. We basically have the timeline memorized when we show up. So do the best that you can to be helpful. And then the last aspect is going to be the photographer relationship, which, you guys all here on the call with me are photographers. And as well as I do that we understand wedding photography like no one else. So if nothing other than for that reason, we need to build a relationship with people who get what we do, who understand what we do. And in order to do that, I want you to reach out, check in with people, see how they're doing in the busy season. Don't get so busy that you forget to check in with your friends. If you feel like you have inquiries coming in that you're unavailable for, refer them out to other photographers. Don't just say I'm unavailable, but say I'm unavailable and this is who I recommend, so that hopefully they can recommend weddings in the future to you too. And even if not, you're helping that client out and you're helping that photographer friend out. And that's how you are going to build those strong relationships. There's a great saying that if you don't have a seat at the table, build your own. So, reach out to other photographers, set up dinners, meetups, shootouts, anything that you can do to create community in your market. I love getting to know other photographers as friends. Some of my very, very, very best friends in the whole wide world are photographers. And we have built that relationship through doing the things that I'm describing to you here. Meetups in person. Yes, we are post-pandemic, so a lot of us are still kind of in our little nutshells, but get out there, put yourself out there, even if it means you set those meetings up yourself. Or if you feel like you're not yet ready to do that, you can also join online forums, Facebook communities, memberships, anything to help you get connected with other people. Okay, so that was a lot of information. We talked about finding your ideal client. We talked about how to attract them. And then, of course, how to market and build relationship. And the reason why I wanted to talk about these things with you today is because I know what it's like to feel like you're tired of looking at your empty calendar, or that maybe you're lacking confidence in business and you're ready to change things up. You're ready to get to that next tier, that you're feeling maybe like, I don't know if I'm in the right market, I feel kind of undervalued, underappreciated, and that you just want your time and your life back. These are things that I hear. These are things that I have experienced. And so if it's okay with you guys, I would love to move into talking with you guys about something that's very near and dear to my heart as someone who has been in the wedding photography space for a very long time. And knowing that there was no wedding photography school for me, I created a course called Full-Time Wedding Photography. This course was designed for photographers who are looking to level up with pricing, systems, and businesses, so in their business approach, so that they can live a balanced, fulfilled life. It was very important to me that I wanted to do photography for a living, which meant that I had to build a sustainable business. And there's a lot that goes into that. And full-time wedding photography is the only implementation program of its kind that will show you exactly how to start and run your business. Everything that you can think of, everything that I know to be important for the business from start to finish is what I've worked so hard to build out for you. So some of the things that we're going to be going over in the full-time wedding photography course is learning how to plan and execute your business goals, I'm going to show you how to create your pricing. So how to structure your offerings, how to create custom proposals, how to essentially connect with and create pricing for any client who walks in the door without overwhelm. I know that can be overwhelming, and I have an actual formula that can help you do that. Knowing how to position yourself as an in-demand photographer and lay the groundwork for when you are ready to scale and grow your business. Ultimately, I want you guys feeling confident in yourself and confident in your business so that you can be, whether you're entry level looking to go full-time or you're full-time looking to level up, that is what this course is for. So part one is about establishing those foundations in terms of your goals, where you want to go, pricing, how to manage your money. There are so many things about money management that I hear from photographers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to dig into this. Managing clients, the client experience, getting connected, work-life balance, and communication. And in the second part two of the full-time wedding photography course, we're going to dive into portfolio curation, getting referrals, filling your calendar, vendor lists, marketing, scaling, website, social media, and publications. It is a ton of information. There are 12 modules. So what we just did, this workshop today, was a little blip. This was maybe like 2 to 3 lessons of what you would see in 52 lessons. And it's in an on-the-go format. So just in the same way that you were able to like listen in today and kind of tune into the content as we go along, this is a very great example of the type of content that you'll see in the course. Some of it's a little bit deeper and will require a lot more note-taking in our workbook, which I actually have here. So this is an example of a workbook that you'll get. You'll get 2 of these, and it goes through everything in the course. There is so much information. It will help you create your pricing. It will help you figure out all the aspects of your business that are personal to you. You're going to take the information, and just like in school, like just like in college, you take that, you put that down in your workbook so that you can customize it to you. It's all the tools and strategies that I use to build those strong client relationships, vendor relationships, a strong business so that you can get referrals and rave reviews. That's our workbook. Like I said, everyone who signs up will get a part 1 and part 2 workbook, and we will be going through this together. So weekly, I'll be doing lives with those new members who enrolled. This is why we have an enrollment period. So our enrollment period started yesterday, and it will end next Tuesday. That is going to give everyone a week to join in, get into the course, and kind of get started so that we can then begin to meet up in the group setting and go through the content together. When we went through the first round, we had a group of photographers that would show up on all the calls, and everyone kind of got to know each other, which was really neat. And a few people have said that was even their favorite part, just learning from other photographers on the live call. So they said that was like a huge bonus, that you get the information, you customize it to yourself on the workbook, and then we meet up live and go over everything together. So if it's okay, I'd like to very quickly share, this is a 1-minute video from some of the photographers.
When I transitioned into weddings, I never properly set up the foundation or structure for my business correctly. I struggled with a lot of things like marketing and pricing and client onboarding, but there was actually a lot of things that I didn't even know that I was struggling with. I could tell that I was lacking that structure.
I didn't know what to do. I've been trying a lot of the same things with little to no results. So I thought I would give this a shot.
So when I came across this course, I felt like it was a perfect opportunity in where my business is at, where I was at, and in the timing for this course when it came out, for me to actually put some effort into revamping or maybe taking a step back to take a couple steps forward.
My biggest takeaway from the course, aside from everything, was probably the pricing module. Catherine talked about it in a way that just made a lot of sense. I don't feel like I'm just kind of pulling prices out of thin air. It kind of gives you a really good baseline and a really good understanding of how to make custom quotes and proposals for your potential clients, which is awesome.
It has been an overwhelming success for my business already, and I just completed the course in the last couple of weeks.
So that was our group of wedding photographers who went through. And I know that you might be thinking that you want to invest in the course, but you're not sure how much it will be worth it. And that's why I wanted to share what Lindley had to say, because Lindley is someone who is already running a wonderful wedding photography business, but taking the course has helped her to not only become more profitable. She has since booked her, highest offerings yet. If you go to the sales page, which I can actually pop that up here on the screen, you'll see her talk about that. But essentially, when she took the course, she was in a place of already, seeing success, but she wanted to level up. And that's exactly what the course did for her. It helped her figure out what she needed work on. And we're all busy. We know that we may not have all the time in the world, and you may be feeling like you're not sure if you have time to complete the course. Well, not only can you go through the course at your own leisure, take it at your own pace, but Whitney said that this was so easy for her to do on the go, that she's purchased courses before that were very text heavy, PDF, a lot of pages that you have to sit at your computer and read. I designed this course with wedding photographers in mind who are on the go. We're shooting, we're taking pictures, we are busy and not always at our desk. And so even if we are at our desk, it's kind of nice that you can just have this in a video, like audible format that you can listen to. None of the lessons are going to be more than 10 minutes. So it also kind of helps you create momentum as you start going through the course. You can do lesson after lesson, and then by the time you know it, you're all the way through. And so Whitney really liked that. And maybe you're thinking that, you're not certain if you want to spend money on the educational offering and you want to know how you're going to see that return. I'm going to show you an example, Tasha's actual numbers, but Marina said that, as a newer photographer, that she was so excited to take the course because it set her up for long-term success. That, when we invest in things in our business, oftentimes we are making those investments in ourselves 5 years from now. We want to be a year from now in a place that's different from where we are today. And that is the goal of full-time wedding photography, is to help you get where you want to go. So this is Tasha. Tasha actually learned about the pricing in November. 60 days later, she texted, she said, I booked a $9,650 package. That was her first biggest offering to date. And then in June, she said that she booked an almost $15,000 wedding. That was her first time doing that. And I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of everyone that we have been able to work with through this course. And I truly believe in what this content can do. It is transformational content. I've been working on this for months, putting this content together. What if I could go back, to not knowing this information and helping other people get to this place? What would that look like? And that was how the course was created. Before I actually created full-time wedding photography, I reached out to a series of about 4 to 5 wedding planners. And I asked them, what they're looking for when they're making referrals. And what I understood was the information that I put into this course, what it takes to be the whole package, what things you need to do behind the scenes and what things you need to do from a client perspective, and then of course with your imagery, in order to achieve success, to get those referrals and to get those raving client reviews. So that was how the course was founded. And I skipped over this slide, but I do love this slide from Dylan Lauren. I had to throw this in here. It says, believe in yourself, listen to your gut, and do what you love. I know that you're here because you love wedding photography and you are trying to be successful in this industry. And that is my goal for you. So if you go to the special launch offer, you'll see that because this is our release and we're open for enrollment, the course is currently being featured for half price through next Tuesday. We would love to have you inside. I would absolutely, it would be a pleasure. It would be an honor. And I do want to open it up to questions. So this can be questions about full-time wedding photography. This can be questions about wedding photography in general. This is a bonus for you being here on the call with me. And so please feel free to ask away. I also have a few questions that I've gathered from other live calls that I thought were interesting that I could share here on this one. And I saw that Patty did have a question I want to jump to. She asked, what stage of business would you recommend this course for? I am like barely starting out. So part one is, essentially, to be honest with you, I think that if you are in years 1 to 7, this would probably be a great course for you. If you're in year 10 or 7 plus, I guess, and you still haven't seen the success that you're looking for, it is not too late. But I know that in especially those, years where you're going from entry level to full-time or full-time to expert, that is where you're going to see the most transformational success with this course. If you feel like you're struggling with any of the things I talked about, maybe not having enough time, not having enough organization, not having the clientele that you want, whatever it is, this course was designed to help you. And that's why it's so long, because I just couldn't omit any of the things that I included. Like, I can't omit money management. Like, that is such a big part of being a successful business and being able to do this full time. I couldn't omit a part about client experience. Like, these are all the foundational elements that you need to be successful. And it's okay if you are in the earlier stages, like you, Patty, barely starting out. In fact, I can remember sitting on the floor of Barnes & Noble wishing that I had something like this. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid by that. One of the other questions I actually received via email, which let me actually pull that up because I feel like maybe someone else could be wondering this as well. So, Andrew, let's see if I have this. I'm going to search for him because he asked me a bunch of questions last night, and I know that would be great to answer these as well. And actually, while I'm pulling this up, I wanted to also talk about, just like a side note about weddings in general, not about the course. One of the questions that I got is like, how to interact with a wedding planner if you are looking to have a bit of input into the timeline. You don't want to overstep. So my advice would be that the first thing you need to do is understand where you are with the wedding planner. Are they a full service wedding planner? Are they a coordinator that they're just doing day of? Wherever you are with whoever they are, wherever they are with the client, you want to have an understanding of that. Some wedding planners aren't going to want as much input from you as others in that early stage. But regardless, when they deliver the timeline to you, if you ever feel like you don't have enough time, or maybe something's not 100% right, or you need a rain plan, do not hesitate to reach out to that wedding planner in advance. I promise you they will be so thankful that you cared enough to do that, and that you're not, I'm here to say you're not overstepping. You want to have those conversations before the wedding day. Any questions that you might have on the wedding day, ask them beforehand, because the wedding day is not the chance to do that. So that is a good way to pursue that conversation with the planner. Okay, so the questions from Andrew were that he was wondering if there was a start date. We talked about the live Q&As, but the start date is essentially as soon as you sign up. You can start right away. We will officially start the lives the week after next. So enrollments open through Tuesday, and then the following week, I want to give everybody about a week or two to start getting into the content. That's when we'll have our first live. You can go at your own pace. He asked about if it's a multiple week pace or go at your own pace. You can go at your own pace. But if you want to participate in the lives, we are going to be having very pointed conversations about specific topics. But you can have those conversations even before you've watched the modules. Ideally, you could watch them beforehand. So I think like an ideal pace is like 4 to 6 weeks to go through the course. But if you feel like you need a little bit more time, that is okay. And he said, how long will I have access to the recordings? This isn't like something that you subscribe to. Once you sign up and you're a part of the full-time wedding photography course, you always have access, and you have access to any of the future content as well. Okay, so I'm going to jump back into another question about wedding photography in general. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. So one of the questions that I just got asked was, what are some ways that you recommend communicating your value to potential clients? In the workshop, I talked about communicating your value through your social, through your online presence. But in addition, I think a great way to communicate value is doing your actual inquiry call. By the time you've gotten on the phone with your client, they've reviewed your work, they've looked at your social, they've looked at your pricing, and now they're wanting to get a feel for who you are. That is a great time for you to express, thoughts about their wedding day, ways in which that you can help them, and ways that you can give insight into their wedding day and provide, show your expertise and knowledge with them at that time. So that's a great way to communicate your value to the client, is through that initial inquiry call. Do you include travel in your destination pricing? Yes, I do include travel inside of my destination pricing. I actually move that into my base price, which we do talk about what a base price is in the course, but that's essentially your minimum offering, your minimum price. And what I do when I'm doing a destination wedding is I group that destination travel into the base offering, so that if they're comparing my work and my pricing to another photographer, that they're never thinking oh, well, I really want to work with this person, but they have travel added on. It's just all kind of like one lump sum. And you do want to take into consideration the fact that you are away from your office for multiple days for a destination wedding, so you want to charge accordingly. And I'll finish out with this. This is going to be 3 things I would have done differently in my business. Someone asked me that recently. 3 things I would have done differently, or maybe done sooner, is that I would have shared what I knew and connected with other photographers sooner. Doing things like full-time wedding photography and our wedding photography society have been incredible. And I wish that I would have started that journey sooner, because it has been so beautiful and so wonderful. And I love being able to help other photographers with their business and do what they're passionate about, because I love wedding photography too. And so that's been really, really cool. Attending networking events. I definitely think, in addition to, connecting with other photographers, we need to be just putting ourselves out there in person at these networking events. I talked about this a good bit in the workshop, but this is a very good investment of your time. And it doesn't cost a lot of money unless it's like an actual workshop or something like that. But just showing up, showing who you are, and being present for these events is huge. And saying no. Oh, shoot, I skipped around. My eyes went to something else. But sorry, I would have done that differently sooner. That is true. Also, though, I'm going to add a bonus to this because I skipped one. I would have said no to jobs that weren't a great fit. I understand the financial aspect of running a business, as you guys all know. But I also think that, honing in on what you really want to do for your work and committing to those jobs and saying no to the others creates space for you to perfect the direction of your business sooner. So I would have done that, and I would have simplified, as a bonus, this is my bonus one, simplified my gear and my process, including outsourcing. It's amazing what you can do when, just like you're intentional with who you're working with, you're intentional about what you're doing in your business. So I would have probably done that sooner, just figured out what I need to be doing versus what I can get help with in the business. And now I'm so thankful that we have such an awesome team of people who help us with the inner workings of the business. And that, I believe, truly does make the business better as a whole. So thank you so much. I cannot believe that we have just concluded our last workshop. I so appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope you enjoy the wonderful rest of your day. If you have any questions about full-time wedding photography, please do not hesitate to ask, or any questions about the workshop in general. I would love to see you inside the course. Enrollment will be open until Tuesday, and then we'll kick things off. All right, guys, have a great day.